Here at JB Muwonge, we have been following this case of Bobi Njagi and Nicholas Oyoo. Ever since they were abducted on the 1st October, we have been updating you, and at last we have got some good news. Finally, these two are out. Right there is Bobi Njagi speaking to media at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport after they were dumped at Busia border at around 2 a.m. in the morning. First hear from him.
I'm so delighted to be back home. I want to thank all Kenyans for standing in solidarity with us. Mostly we have the media, the Fourth Estate, for putting our story almost on a daily basis.
Yep.
The human rights organizations, Amnesty International, LSK for the Hubas Corpus. We have the Defenders Coalition, KHRC, Vocal Africa, you know them all. We want to thank you so much for standing with us all through this time. I can't forget my family as well. They've gone through a very terrible and horrific time.
Yeah.
38 days of abduction was not easy. We didn't think we were going to come out alive because we were being abducted by the military. We have been kept by the military in Uganda for this, under the Special Forces Command. We're going to release more details to you in a short while after we get some medical attention. We've not been eating for about 14 days myself. I've been fasting.
What?
It's been very difficult. But thank you so much for your solidarity. Viva Kenya, viva!
Viva!
Viva Kenya, viva!
Viva!
Yes, we were tortured, but we're going to give you details.
Shame on you, Museveni.
Shame on you!
Shame on you, motherfucker!
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
We are coming for you!
What? Did you hear that?
I was doing a fast, but at the same time, the kind of food you have been given is not really food. We have been dehumanized, if I might say so.
What did they accuse you for?
Of course, it had to take Uhuru Kenyatta, the former president of Kenya, to intervene. Remember, Ruto has been silent ever since these two were abducted. Musalia Mudavadi has also been silent ever since these two were abducted. Now, you need to know that there were a series of negotiations. These two, according to inside sources, they were supposed to be detained until when elections in Uganda are over. Remember, elections are taking place on the 15th of January 2026. But due to the negotiations, as I'm going to show you later on, anyway, I'm going to give you all details. But let me first let's first hear from him.
Complex negotiations that took place. One of them involved the former president of the Republic of Kenya, the fourth president, and that is Uhuru Kenyatta. And it is out of the negotiations and the discussions that took place at the very highest levels of the two governments, plus the former president, that we have had the two, Bobi Njagi and Nick Oyoo, return to Kenya in the way that they are. We would just like to say that we believe that that was also a product of the pressure of ordinary people, of human rights defenders, of journalists, of civil society. And therefore, collectively, we can be proud of this moment where we now have Bob and Nick with us.
That's wonderful. Of course, a series of activities have been conducted, pressure from civil rights groups, pressure from those that have relentlessly protested outside the Ugandan embassy, the activists from the Free Kenyan movement. Now, maybe let's first get a thorough understanding of all this with the help of Citizen TV.
Sustained diplomatic engagement between Kenya and Uganda, the involvement of former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the use of emissaries to government and Ugandan authorities to secure the release of activists Bobi Njagi and Nicholas Oyoo. This is according to several parties involved in the initiative to secure the duo's release, and who include Bobi Njagi's father, Frank Njagi. O'Day Francis takes a look at the push for Njagi and Oyoo's release.
It took concerted efforts to secure the release of activist Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyoo. According to Bob Njagi's father, the family put in a direct request to Uganda authorities through government, and there was an engagement at high levels in the push to secure the release.
Requesting that they arrange for his release. That's one. Then ourselves, we have sent people. Somebody has talked to Museveni.
Okay.
We have sent people. Somebody has talked to Mrs. Museveni. So we have reached the authorities in Uganda. Whether they are the ones who have acted, we cannot tell for sure.
Njagi's father saying that there were signs earlier in the week that their efforts were about to bear fruit.
By Tuesday, they had told us that they are arranging for him to be sorted out.
On the government's involvement, Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs Musalia Mudavadi, in a post on his X account, revealed the diplomatic maneuvers involved. He wrote, and I quote, "Following sustained diplomatic engagements between Kenya and Uganda, including a formal letter I personally addressed to Honorable General Njagi Abubakar, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Uganda, both governments maintained open and constructive communication that has culminated in the safe release of our nationals." The two activists were handed over to Kenya's High Commissioner in Uganda, Joash Maangi. Ugandan officials, alongside the ambassador, escorted them to the Busia border town, where they were received by Busia County Commissioner Chaunga Mwachaunga. Civil society organizations saying it took a lot of lobbying to secure the duo's release. Amnesty International Kenya CEO Irungu Houghton revealing the former President Uhuru Kenyatta got involved in the push to release Njagi and Oyoo.
There were a lot of complex negotiations that took place. One of them involved the...
So my question is, where is Ruto in all this? Because Ruto is the president of Kenya. Where is him in all this? You can't hear his name, yet he's the president of Kenya. He's the president of the country.
The former president of the Republic of Kenya, the fourth president, and that is Uhuru Kenyatta. And it is out of the negotiations and the discussions that took place at the very highest levels of the two governments, plus the former president, that we have had the two, Bob Njagi and Nick Oyoo, return to Kenya in the way that they are.
Pia nishukuru Rais mstaafu kwa kuwa haya bila intervention ya Wakenya wengi hatungeweza.
Uganda opposition presidential candidate Bobi Wine welcomed their release and posted on his social media platforms, "I have just spoken to them and they have told me they were being held by Museveni's son at Kasenyi military barracks."
Yeah, they were being held at Kasenyi military barracks, though, anyway, more is going to be revealed by Bobo Njagi and Nicholas Oyoo, because this is how it works out. They don't detain you at a single military barracks forever. Of course, they are going to transfer you from Busia, to transfer you to Kireka, they transfer you to Chisenyi, they transfer you to whatever location of their choice. As in, of course, those that have abducted you, those holding you incommunicado.
They were being interrogated about why they came to Uganda and attended our manifesto launch in Jinja. End of quote. Ode Francis, Citizen TV.
Anyway, I also wanted you to know that these two being released, it came at a cost. And this is the cost, because when I was doing a research about this, I landed on this article from Kenyans.co.ke. That's it was written actually today, and it reads, Bob Njagi's family says Uganda set stringent conditions before his release. Yeah. Now, what are the conditions? What are the conditions? Here we go. It says Njagi, the family of Bob Njagi, a Kenyan activist who was abducted alongside Nicholas Oyoo in Uganda, has revealed the tough conditions they were forced to accept before their son's release. Njagi and Oyoo were reportedly detained by Ugandan security agents for over a month under unclear circumstances. Speaking on Saturday after Njagi's return, his father, Frank Njagi, disclosed that Ugandan authorities had initially planned to detain the two Kenyans until after the country's general elections. He said The move was aimed at preventing them from engaging in political activities that could be perceived as opposition to President Museveni's government. There is a photo taken yesterday during their release. According to the family, Ugandan officials made it clear that Njagi and Oyoo were being held to discourage any further involvement in campaigns against Museveni's administration or his rallies. This prompted the family to negotiate for their release through diplomatic and personal channels. We were told that the intention was to keep them in custody until the elections. We had to promise that once released, he would never go back to Uganda to campaign for Museveni's opponents, Frank Njagi. Of course, Frank Njagi is the father to Bob Njagi. Bob Njagi is the leader of Free Kenyan movement. Nicholas Oyoo is the Secretary General of the movement. The family revealed that the negotiations were tense, with Ugandan officials insisting on written assurances from intermediaries that Njagi would refrain from political engagements across the border. Uhuru Kenyatta's intervention. Njagi's father disclosed that the family sought help from both the Kenyan government and influential figures, among them said to be former President Uhuru Kenyatta, who was among those who reached out to Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni and his son General Muhoozi Kainerugaba to intervene in the matter. The negotiations are also said to have involved Museveni's spouse, Janet Museveni, before things started moving. Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi confirmed that Nairobi had written to Kampala demanding information about the two Kenyans' whereabouts, adding that his ministry liaised directly with Ugandan Foreign Affairs Minister Odong Abeka to secure their release. Meanwhile, Njagi, while recounting his ordeal, said they were detained by military officers who operated under special command. We had been abducted by military who kept us under a special unit. We never knew we would make it back home, he said. The two were abducted in Kireka, of course it is Kireka, Kampala on 1st October and held in undisclosed location for 38 days. They were finally handed over to Kenyan authorities at the Busia border on November 7, of course. Now, that is it. You've had the stringent conditions that have been set. Now, I want you to remember, for those who have been following this case with us here at JB Muwonge Talk Show, do you remember when the Ugandan police came out and distanced itself from knowing anything concerning these two? I hope you remember. Do you remember the Ugandan lawyers who filed the habeas corpus? Of course, that was supposed to force the state to release these two, produce these two in court, dead or alive, you remember? And then the Uganda People's Defense Forces came out denying any involvement in all this, and also stating that they've done a thorough search in all gazetted detention centers and they've not come to to find anyone in the names of Bob and Nicholas. Do you remember when the habeas corpus application was dismissed by the High Court in Uganda after UPDF writing to them, distancing themselves from the case? You remember all that? And let me hope you remember me telling you that that's a lie. These two are in the custody of these guys. They know the entire story. Now, hope you understand why I said so. All that was a lie. They knew they had them in custody. All they wanted was, of course, to detain them, just like you've heard from the family, detained until elections are done. Of course, in Uganda, we even don't have elections. They're just selections. Because if what people vote is what reflects at the ballot, is what reflects at the final tally sheet, man, Museveni would be long gone by year 2006. Because he rigged the 2006 election, he rigged the 2011 election, he rigged the 2016 election, he rigged the recent election of 2021. For those who are following the Ugandan elections, I'm sure you are in the know of what is currently going on. How the police, how the military is harassing, is treating Bobi Wine. To the point that even friends of Bobi Wine from neighboring countries like Bobo Njagi and Nicholas Oyoo, who just come to show support are treated like this. Now you can visualize the kind of election we are in. Uganda ya feyo. Yeyo mubana Uganda banange. Yeyo tuli munenga. At least the good news, these two are out. All we wanted is to have them released alive. That's all we wanted. I remember Bob's mother crying to Janet Museveni to intervene like a mother, Yeah, we've done a series of episodes about this case, and I'm sure they've also added something like amplifying the voices for the release of these two. I'm very happy that these two are out. I'm very happy that they are out because I know the case of John Bosco Chibalama was abducted on the 3rd of June 2019. We've never heard from him again, and very many others. So when I heard of these two missing, being abducted by military, that's why I had to give frequent updates such that you get to know, because we do not want any other abduction to result in the case of like for the case of John Bosco Chibalama, who has never resurfaced again since 2019. And of course, very, very, very many more. Mawulire of course gasanyi mawulire malungi nnyo kubanga muganda wange. Mwena mbadde mbalengera mu comment section eyo nga mugamba jebye basajja bano tebabatta, jebye basajja bano tebabatta, jebye basajja bano tebabatta, jebye basajja bano tebabatta. Nze nga ndi mugumu nga Museveni wadde azanya nnyo chess, azanya nnyo zaala, tayinza kukola kintu ekyamanyi obukambe bw'abaana Kenya kuba emabega kaawo. Of course kibadde kigenda kuva ekirala ennyo. Ate nze ndowoozaamu n'okulowooza nti ensonga lwaki abaana Kenya tebareactinze nnyo wabaddewo negotiations ezibadde zigenda maaso. Kati bano ba ring leaders, bano ba leaders ba movement zino nga Free Kenyan movement nga balina kye bakimanyiiko nti akasita kiri kyagenda maaso, kati wantu tuteekawo nsasage nnyo. Naye nga Nelson Havi, the former president of the Kenya Law Society, yali yavaayo, Martha Karua mwamulaba, ne ba activist abalala nga muze mbalaba nga bataddewo ensasagge yali y'amaanyi nnyo. Of course nga basobola okubeerako agawala ekibaba bagenda okukola. Ngero okiraba nti kibeera kigenda kubeerawo. Threatening recently okugala Busia border, okugala Malaba border until when these two are abducted. So kati nze nyinamu ekirowoozo nti engeri gye wabadde nti nno wabaddewo kino ekigenda maaso. Yensonga lwaki babadde tebareactinze nnyo like kyendowooza ekyo kwa bana Kenya mbamanyi nammwe. Olaba besoze Tanzania ku bine bya president wa Tanzania engeri gye yakuttemu akalulu kayo n'engeri gye yassemu abantu. Man, anyway, good news. President we Zambia naye abadde ku kituuti awo avubuka n'omukanyugira amayinja nga bamulanga okwatendinga inauguration ya Suluhu Samia. Abantu banyiiva, abantu balaba, people following bulungi ebintu, ennaku zino abantu babuufu. So buli yenna yina akola ekintu ngalowooza nali mukikolera muzikiza abantu bajja kutegeera. Neewuunya bano bampuuga bali mu kwepoka okulya ssente y'omuwa omusolo gwe n'olya miliyoni 5 n'oddako n'olya 10 n'oddako n'olya 4. Bana Uganda nga omwana amala university emyaka 10 n'emeka okuva mu primary paka wamaliriza n'agenda n'ayera oluguudo nga guli mu kusabika mu nsawo yo bisente by'abana Uganda. Olowooza nno bayinza okusonyiwa era ayinza okusonyiwa yaba musiru abatalina magezi. Anyway, that is the update. These two are out. I'll be giving you any other update wabanga waliwo ekiriwo. I expect them of course to make a press conference and speak more about what happened, where they were being detained, and in case they do so, I'll come back and as well update you on that, because we would like to hear more. Like, of course, they had to be given enough time to relax, of course, have enough sleep. Bobi Wine just communicated he was fasting 14 days. So they had to first be given time to rest and recharge, come back, speak out when they are in their good moods. Anyway, that is the update. Peace and love. It's the JB Monk Talk Show. Share the video.